Your roof is actively working against you, and your AC company has known the entire time. Most Americans believe their cooling system is fighting the summer heat outside, the 95-degree air pressing against their windows. That is not the battle your AC is losing. The real enemy is directly above your head. A standard dark asphalt roof absorbs up to 95% of every photon of sunlight that hits it, converting all of that energy into heat and driving your attic past 140 degrees before noon. Your AC spends the majority of its operating life fighting that single heat source, not the outdoor air, not anything outside your walls. There's a $7 powder sitting on a hardware store shelf right now that stops that entire process completely. Ancient civilizations ran this system for 3,500 years without a single machine. A Purdue University lab proved in 2021 it outperforms your central AC unit. A $300 billion industry spent 7 decades making sure you never knew that. Before the powder makes any sense, you need to understand exactly what your AC unit is actually doing, because the answer is not what the industry ever told you. Here is what your AC unit actually does, and it is not what the commercials ever showed you. Your cooling system does not manufacture cold air and pump it into your living space. It grabs heat that is already inside your home, moves it through a refrigerant loop, and dumps it into the outdoor air beside your house. It is a heat mover, not a heat stopper. That distinction matters more than anything else in this conversation. Now here is the physics problem your AC company never wants you sitting with. While your system is working to push heat out one side of your home, your roof is pouring it straight back in from the top. Sunlight hits your dark shingles, converts to thermal energy within seconds, conducts through your roof deck, and floods your attic with heat that regularly exceeds 140 degrees on a standard American summer afternoon. That superheated attic then radiates downward through your ceiling into every room below it, continuously, all day and all night long throughout the entire season. Your AC is not racing against the outdoor temperature. It is racing against your own roof, and it starts every single day already behind. Running your AC without addressing your roof is like bailing water from a boat with the hole still open. What stopped that heat source for 3,500 years was not a machine, not a refrigerant, and not a single watt of electricity. And the discovery behind it changes everything you think you know about staying cool. Every surface on Earth has a measurable relationship with sunlight. Scientists call it the solar reflectance index, a number that tells you exactly what percentage of incoming solar radiation a surface bounces back into the atmosphere versus absorbs into itself. A dark asphalt roof scores between 5 and 10 on that index, meaning it is drinking in nearly every photon that touches it from dawn to dusk. Standard commercial white paint, the kind coating rooftops across America right now, scores around 80, which sounds impressive until you run the actual numbers. Even at 80% reflectance, a 1,000 square foot roof under full summer sun is still absorbing the thermal equivalent of 2 to 3 kilowatts of continuous heat pouring into your structure every single hour. Hydrated lime, calcium hydroxide, the exact same powder Mediterranean builders were mixing with water in 1500 BC, scores 95 to 98 on that same index. In 1973, researchers at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory painted a flat rooftop with a simple lime and water mixture, the identical recipe Greek builders had used for generations, and measured the results against an untreated dark roof sitting right beside it. The lime-coated surface ran 40 degrees cooler. Interior temperatures inside the building dropped 8 full degrees. The structure needed 0 mechanical cooling that entire summer. Before you ask why every American roof isn't white right now, drop your answer below to this question first. What percentage of sunlight does standard commercial white paint actually reflect? The number that finally forced the science into mainstream attention did not come from a history book. It came from a university laboratory in 2021, and what that professor calculated made an entire industry genuinely uncomfortable. In 2021, Professor Shulin Ruan at Purdue University set out to find the absolute physics ceiling of reflective surfaces. His research team engineered a barium sulfate coating specifically designed to scatter light across every solar wavelength simultaneously, pushing reflectance higher than any surface ever measured in recorded science. The formula landed at 98.1% reflectance of all incoming sunlight. The Guinness World Records certified it as the whitest surface ever created by human hands. Peer-reviewed confirmation came through ACS Applied Materials, one of the most rigorous journals in materials science. The number was real, and it held up under every form of scrutiny the scientific community applied to it. Then Ruan calculated what that surface actually does to a building, and that is the figure that made the cooling industry pay close attention. A single 1,000 square foot rooftop coated with his formula generates 10 kilowatts of continuous cooling power. Your standard residential central AC unit produces between 3 and 5 kilowatts of output capacity at full operation. The coating wins by a factor of 2 to 3 while consuming absolutely 0 electricity, 0 refrigerant, and 0 moving parts. And the answer to that quiz question from the last section, standard commercial white paint reflects around 80%. The physics ceiling is 98%, and hydrated lime gets you within striking distance of that ceiling for $7 a bag. The reason both Ruin's engineered formula and hydrated lime produce these results comes down to two mechanisms. Your AC system uses neither of. The first is shortwave solar rejection, physically bouncing incoming visible and infrared sunlight back into the atmosphere before it ever converts to heat inside your structure. The second is long-wave infrared emission, actively radiating heat that is already stored in the surface upward toward the sky, even during peak daytime hours. That second mechanism is called radiative sky cooling, and it is the reason test surfaces in Ruin's study actually measured cooler than the surrounding air temperature during the day. Your AC dumps heat sideways into 95-degree outdoor air on the hottest afternoon of the year. Lime and high reflectance coatings dump heat vertically toward the upper atmosphere. The coldest available heat sink anywhere on Earth. The physics gap between those two strategies is not small. Understanding why this solution is not already on every American rooftop has nothing to do with physics and everything to do with who loses money the moment you find out it works. Homeowner associations across dozens of American states have explicit language in their governing documents prohibiting highly reflective roofing surfaces. Their rulebooks mandate earth tones, browns, tans, and dark grays, precisely the colors that score lowest on the solar reflectance index, and mathematically guarantee your AC runs without stopping from June through September. The official reasoning is neighborhood aesthetic consistency. The financial context sitting directly behind that reasoning is worth examining carefully. The global HVAC market generates over $130 billion every single year. The global paint and coatings market adds another $200 billion on top of that. Hydrated lime is a raw commodity material. Nobody can patent calcium hydroxide. Nobody can trademark it, license it, or build a recurring revenue model around a powder that costs $7 a bag and outlasts most commercial coatings on the market. A lime-washed roof cutting your cooling bill by 60 to 70% does not just reduce one expense, it systematically undermines the financial foundation that entire industries are built on. No secret meeting was ever required to produce that outcome, just an economic incentive powerful enough to shape building codes, roofing standards, and neighborhood rulebooks for 7 consecutive decades. But even if you coat every inch of your roof tomorrow, you will still be leaving more than half of the available cooling physics completely untouched. And the reason comes down to a heat trap built into your walls. A reflective roof solves the overhead solar loading problem completely, but your home is not just a roof. Every material making up your exterior, the concrete, the brick, the drywall, the insulation, absorbs heat throughout the day and slowly releases it back inward through the night, turning your walls into a slow-release thermal battery working against you around the clock. Your south-facing wall soaks up direct sun across the longest arc of the entire day. Your east and west faces take the hardest hits during morning and afternoon peak hours, respectively. The ground surrounding your foundation bleeds stored heat upward through your slab continuously. A perfectly reflective roof sitting on top of all that unaddressed thermal mass still leaves enormous heat loads cooking you from every other direction. Mediterranean builders understood this intuitively, which is why they never stopped at the rooftop. They coated every exterior surface of every building across entire villages in the same lime wash, compounding the reflective physics across every face simultaneously. A dark south-facing wall converts afternoon sun into hours of inward heat radiation. A lime-coated south-facing wall at 95% reflectance converts that same exposure into nearly zero heat gain at all. Stack that effect across your entire exterior and the thermal mass trap loses most of its power. The total material cost to treat every exterior surface of a standard American home with hydrated lime sits under $50, and that number is precisely what makes the cooling industry most uncomfortable. Now that you understand exactly why this works at every level of the physics, here is precisely what you do with all of it starting this weekend. One 50-pound bag of Type S hydrated lime costs between $7 and $14 at any hardware store in America right now. The active compound is calcium hydroxide, the same material that functions as both the whitening agent and the reflective physics engine simultaneously. The mix ratio is 1 part lime powder to 2 parts water, stirred until the consistency resembles thin paint rather than paste or thick mud. That formulation is called a lime wash, and it is the identical recipe Mediterranean builders have been applying to exterior surfaces for 40 uninterrupted centuries without changing a single ingredient. Application requires a clean, dry surface, a thick nap roller or wide brush, and 2 full coats with a complete overnight dry between them. Total material cost for an average American roof comes to $14 to $28, depending on your local pricing. The entire job on a standard residential roof takes 1 afternoon and 2 bags of powder. A homeowner in Texas documented his results with before and after temperature measurements taken at the same time of day. Before the lime wash, his attic was reading 143 degrees at peak afternoon heat. After 2 coats, his attic measured 97 degrees at that identical hour, a 46-degree drop from a single weekend of work. His indoor temperature fell 10 degrees without the AC carrying full load. His electricity savings across that one summer exceeded $1,200, measured against a new AC installation costing $5,000 to $15,000 up front, plus $150 or more in monthly operating costs every season it runs. For homeowners under HOA restrictions, applying lime wash to all vertical exterior walls captures the same shortwave rejection physics without touching the roofline. For renters, reflective window film applied to south and west-facing windows intercepts the same solar radiation before it enters your living space. The material is different, but the underlying mechanism is identical. The Greeks resolved this problem before formal writing systems existed. Purdue confirmed the exact mechanism in a peer-reviewed laboratory in 2021. The powder has been sitting on the shelf at your hardware store the entire time for $7 a bag. Everything this channel covers follows that same pattern. Solutions that worked for thousands of years quietly replaced not because something better came along, but because something more profitable did. This channel exists for one reason. The most powerful solutions in human history are not the ones that stopped working, they are the ones that stopped being profitable. Lime wash did not disappear because it failed. It disappeared because it cannot be metered, licensed, or sold back to you on a monthly billing cycle. The next video covers what happens when the grid goes down during a summer heat wave and your AC stops working entirely. The building materials and architectural strategies that kept people alive for centuries, with zero electricity and zero machinery, drawn from the same civilization that built everything you learn today. If this is the kind of buried knowledge you want more of, subscribe to Extinct Skills right now. Every video on this channel is a solution that outlasted every empire that tried to replace it. Hit subscribe before the next one drops.